How to get the most out of the limited practice time that I have? That's the question I've been obsessed with since I started to take guitar playing seriously. I've tried every practice routine that made at least a little bit of sense to me. I've tried practicing for long hours, and I've also tried practicing in 5-minute blocks. I have tried practicing many different things at once, and I have also tried practicing only one thing for hours at a time. I have studied books, read scientific journals, and watched interviews where famous musicians discuss their practice regimens, all in the hope of cracking the code and finding out how to make my own practice sessions more efficient. At one point, I have even emailed Anders Ericsson, the father of 10,000-hour rule and the pioneer of deliberate practice research, to discuss some of the problems that I have encountered along the way. Mr. Ericsson was so kind that he even replied to me and sent me a few chapters from his books so I could study some more. As you can see, I was all in on this subject. But I didn't feel like I had a choice. I needed to understand how our brain works, how we learn, and how we develop skills on a deeper level. It was absolutely necessary for me to know that I was on the right path, and so I could trust the process. Being 100% sure that what you are doing will bring you desired results is absolutely crucial to navigate the ups and downs of making the best version out of yourself. And that's what I want to share with you in this video. I truly believe that if you apply what I'm about to share with you, you will change your guitar playing in ways that you might not even think are possible. And no, you don't have to spend all day practicing the guitar. So let's dive right in. The question we need to answer is the one that I started this video with. How can we make the most out of our practice time? If you do a quick Google search for guitar practice routines, you can find many examples, however they all look pretty much the same. A typical 1-hour practice session might look something like this. 5 minutes of warm-up, 10 minutes of scales, 10 minutes ear training, 10 minutes music theory, 20 minutes learning songs, and 5 minutes improvisation. Although this kind of practice routine might work for some people, it never really worked for me. At first glance, these types of practice routines seem logical and make sense. However, upon closer inspection, we might find a few problems that make them less than ideal. First problem is that they are way too general. Let's take 5 minutes of warm-up for example. The questions I would have are, what am I warming up for? Am I going to do the same exercise every day? Or should I switch them based on what I am about to practice? Do I really need to warm up? I'm not going to lift weights, so probably I'm not going to hurt myself, right? Let's take another one, 10 minutes of scales. So what scales am I supposed to practice? Is it the same scale for every guitar player? At what tempo should I practice them? And how will I know that I am done with the scale? Or let's analyze ear training. Probably everybody agrees that we as musicians need some kind of ear training. But what kind of ear training? Identifying intervals with the help of an app, or transcribing licks, or developing perfect pitch? What is the goal of ear training anyway? I'm not going to go any further with this. You can see that if we dig a little bit deeper here, we will end up with more questions than answers. And my duty as a guitar teacher is to give you clarity and not to confuse you. I truly believe that if you want to see a fast progress on your guitar, you cannot just practice any scale or lick or learn random concepts from music theory book. You need to carefully choose practice material that will help you to reach your goals as fast as possible. But not for the sake of speed, but for the sake of accomplishment that will fuel your motivation and drive to get even better. Everything you practice should be curated so you don't waste time on stuff that doesn't produce results. I've talked more about choosing the right practice material in this video. The second problem with these practice routines is that there is nothing that ties different areas of practice together. By practicing in this manner, you are creating little islands of knowledge and skill that are not connected together and therefore are not very useful. I remember when I was following practice routine like this, I was never satisfied with the progress that I did in any practice session. I knew I was practicing for 2 hours, but there was nothing to show for it, just the time on my stopwatch. I never felt like I am really improving. I would say that I was learning new stuff, but I did not feel like becoming a better musician at all. Third problem is that these routines are too focused on different areas of music, like scales, arpeggios, ear training, music theory, but not really on the music itself. Over the years, I've seen so many guitarists practicing scales without knowing how to use them to make music, or even know over which chords would these scales fit. Of course, I have to admit I was one of them. Many guitarists fall into this trap of practicing different aspects of music, but never really get to the real music. Everything is just an exercise to prepare you for the real thing, but the real thing sadly never arrives. Now that we have established that practicing in this way is suboptimal, let's take a look at an alternative approach that I believe will make you a much better guitar player. So what is the alternative? For a lack of better name, let's call this project-oriented guitar practice. What that means is that everything that you practice is a small and precisely defined project that improves some aspect of your guitar playing. But before you can define your first project, you need to know something else. The first thing you need to do is to find out what you want to accomplish as a guitar player. Without knowing where you want to go, it is impossible to know which route to take. You need to craft a crystal clear vision for yourself as a guitar player, and once you have it, you cut out all the noise and zone in to make your vision a reality. You can learn about that here in my previous video. Once you have your vision created, we can start fulfilling it one small project at a time. Of course, I don't know what your vision is or what it should be, so I cannot tell you exactly what you should be practicing or what your first project should be. All I can do is show you example with the hope that you can understand the thinking process behind it, and then you can apply it to your own playing. So here is an example. Let's say you are a blues guy or girl and you want to improve your lead playing. It is not enough to say I want to become a better blues guitarist and then practice minor pentatonic scale up and down with the hope that it will somehow turn you into next Joe Bonamassa. You have to be more specific, and I mean much more specific. So if you want to become a better blues player, follow these steps. Step number 1, find a specific guitar solo that you love and want to imitate. This solo should really talk to your soul. But don't make the mistake and choose the solo that is too difficult for you, because you will slow yourself down. You need to find the right difficulty. It might be tricky in the beginning, but you will get better at this. You just need more experience. Step number 2 is to transcribe and learn to play the solo. If you can transcribe it whole by ear, find the lesson and learn it that way. Learning the solo precisely is very important because imitating your favorite players will help you a lot with your own playing. Once you are done, record the solo. If you have a problem with speed of some passages, slow the solo down, because speed is not our main concern at this point. Step number 3, analyze how this solo is composed and what makes it great. Here are some questions I would ask. What chords is this solo played over? What scales are used and in which positions? Are there any arpeggios or special techniques? If there is anything that you don't understand about the solo, now is the perfect time to study it. Also ask yourself, why do you love the solo? What makes it great? Is it phrasing, note choices, or tone? What do you need to work on so you can eventually write similar quality of solo? Do a complete analysis so you can better understand the solo, and that way you can also discover what kind of guitar playing you resonate with and why. Step number 4, compose your own solo. Choose a backing track that is similar to the original solo and decide on the length. I usually go for 1 minute, or in the case of blues, 12 or 24 bars is enough. It is very important to not be too harsh on yourself when composing. Do the best you can with your current skills and abilities, but don't think your solo is going to be the best ever. Try to imitate the solo you have just learned, but also try to give it your own flavor, so to speak. Make sure you stretch your creativity and technique and make the solo exciting for you to play. The most important thing is to finish the solo, practice it, and again record it, video or audio. That is a check mark that you are done. If you don't have your solo recorded, you are not done. During the duration of this project, your practice routine might change a lot based on what you are currently working on. If you have 1 hour to practice and are just starting, the whole hour might be spent transcribing the original solo. At the end, the same time could be spent just composing. Or you could distribute that time to different activities like transcribing, practicing the solo, and composing your own. That is not so important as long as you move towards the finish line, and that is to finish and record the solo. This whole project might take you 2 weeks or a month to finish. It doesn't really matter, but don't make it too difficult so it will take you more than a month. You will lose your motivation and drive, and you will start questioning your abilities, and we don't want that, especially if you are just starting out. If you make the difficulty right, it should not take more than a month. In this time, you will become much better at playing blues solo, and you will definitely feel it. Since your guitar practice is oriented around this single focus, you can't help it but improve as a blues lead player. Although it might feel like a drop in a bucket, this is exactly how you really get better. Trust the process and take it one small step at a time. Notice how this type of practice routine is much different than the ones we talked before. It is very specific, with a clear goal, set deadline, and everything is neatly tied together. This way it is much easier to digest all the information and develop skills to put that information into use and create the real music. I believe that having a vision for yourself as a guitar player and then apply project-oriented guitar practice to fulfilling that vision is all you need to become as good as you wish to be. Once you are done with the current project, you will define another one and start the process all over again. But here is another crucial part. You cannot stop practicing the old project just because it is finished. You keep practicing, playing and polishing it every day until it becomes second nature. Remember, this old project is not some random scale or arpeggio that you have learned off YouTube. It is a piece of music that represents how you want to play like. So you just keep making rep after rep. It doesn't really matter that you can already play it. In the words of Kenny Werner, it has to play itself. It might only need few minutes every day, but make sure you do it. That is how you get depth and confidence into your skills and knowledge. Of course, once you have 10 blues solos under your belt, you don't need to play each one every day. You can rotate them as needed, but all of them should feel fresh under your fingers. Alright, that is all for this video. I think this will end up as a pretty long one, so make sure you watch it few times if needed. And I hope this will serve you well. And if you have any thoughts or questions, please share them in the comments. Take care and see you in the next one.